Listen to this podcast, or I'll gut you.
Welcome back, horror hounds, to Ghostman Rivera's Horror Show podcast.
I'm Mike Ghostman Pickle.
And I'm James Rivera.
We have a very special guest on the podcast today. She's an actress, makeup artist, and model. She has 14 projects in pre-production, 5 projects filming right now. And she also has a podcast she just finished up on right now. It's Killer Queens, Podcast of Scream. She does with Heather Harlow and Kate Phoenix. This is Angel Bradford. Welcome, Angel Bradford, to the podcast.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming.
Happy to be here. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Angel is on fire right now. It was hard to even nail her down to get her into the podcast with a podcast of her own and constantly working on photo shoots, movie shoots.
Yeah, I am pretty busy, but I'm happy to stay busy. It keeps me out of trouble.
Well, perfect. Well, let's get started. How did you become a fan of horror movies?
Oh, man. So both of my parents were avid horror fans, my mom especially. She had all sorts of like horror books, like the old paperback style, like short horror books. And of course, I've read them probably a little earlier than I should have. But I remember she had It by Stephen King. There were a couple other ones that I can't remember, but they were like super original, novels and stuff. She also watched a ton of scary movies. My favorite scary movie is Amityville 2, The Possession. And I remember watching that on tape like all the time. The first scary movie I remember watching though was the mini series of It. And I remember I was in my high chair watching that, and I could not go into the shower into my bathtub for a while. I was pretty terrified. But definitely my parents had a huge I guess impression on me as far as like horror goes.
So horror literature was as important for you in making you a horror fan as horror movies is. Horror movies.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
So can you pinpoint which horror movie made you a lifetime horror fan, and which movie made you want to be an actress? And are they the same movie?
Ooh, that's a really good question. So I'll say, as an actress, probably Amityville 2, because the main character in that, he just his acting, it just like stuck out to me. You know what I'm saying? He started out this calm, collected, character. And then throughout the movie, you see the possession slowly happening. And sometimes I would pretend to be possessed.
Yeah.
As far as like making me a true horror fan, I absolutely like love Creepshow. Creepshow just stuck out to me, especially Fluffy. Fluffy's my favorite like horror monster character ever. And that's really where I got my basis for makeup too. That's, kind of how I learned, who Tom Savini was. And then I started getting more interested in his work. So I started watching more of the movies that he worked on. Of course, Friday the 13th, Maniac, From Dusk Till Dawn, and countless others.
Cool. So What is it about the horror genre that appeals to you, or what do you think draws you to this above other genres?
Just the way that things are done. There's all sorts of creatures. It's like there's no limitation on what you can do with horror films. I mean, there's movies about a killer tire and a killer couch and tomatoes. Like you really can't put any like limitations. And then there's movies like Cannibal Holocaust or a Serbian film. Like there's really no limitations, and that's why I love horror films. You can do anything.
So what project was it where you first got your first experience with hands-on acting, and did you start with makeup around the same time as you did acting?
So, funny story. I actually got into the industry first through my makeup. So whenever the whole world shut down, for COVID, I had nothing but time on my hands. So I started practicing makeups on myself at home, and then I would share them on Facebook, and people started noticing my work on Facebook. The first director who contacted me was Brad Thomason, and he did Backwoods Bubba, he did Martian Massacre, and a few others. But I did makeup for Backwoods Bubba. That was the first time I ever did makeup for a film, and he asked me to come back and do Debbie does, or not Debbie, but Martian Massacre with Ryan Matthew Ward, and that was kind of my first experience with acting, but I have to give that credit actually to Dwayne Etheridge for Slumber Party, Slaughter Party 2. He had originally asked me to do makeup on that film, and then he had asked me to read as an understudy for another actress that was to be on the film. And when I sent him my audition, he made me the lead actress in that film. So that was my first, experience as an actress. And Backwoods Bubba was my first as a makeup artist. And now I kind of do both. For Night of the Axe, I did both. For The House That Eats Flesh, I did both. And there's a couple more that I'll be doing both on. But I actually really prefer working with other makeup artists on one set because I love to learn. And I feel like, 2 or 3 heads are definitely better than one when it comes to practical effects.
Okay.
Definitely.
So what do you prefer doing? Do you prefer the makeup side of the business, or do you prefer to act?
So the more that I act, the more like I really enjoy acting a lot. Obviously with makeup, I can be as creative as I want, but with acting, I really learn about myself. And even though like horror is my like main genre, what I love to act in, I don't mind branching out because, it helps me to learn about Angel, like in all sorts of aspects. I'm able to explore my emotions and like facial expressions, body language, stuff like that.
So as you were saying, you just got into the business, a few short years ago. So how do you explain this big surge of projects for you, and with some of them with big actors in them?
Yeah, I just feel very lucky. Whenever I do auditions, I put my all into it. And also, like, I feel that I have really good recommendations from being on previous sets too, because I do everything, and being an indie actress and indie makeup artist, being on set, you really do more than acting and makeup. There's sound, there's light, there's, kind of helping you to direct things. And like, I don't have any problem learning and doing everything that I can when I'm on set, because I want this movie to be as good as the director, wants it to be, as a producer wants it to be. Like, I take my job very seriously when I'm on set. And I think that has kind of bled into, like the community, and people know that I'm not here to play. I'm here to do what I came to do, which is acting or makeup.
Very cool. I wish all actors were like that.
Okay, so what do you find to be a bigger challenge though, acting or doing the makeup part?
Oh, ooh, man. I feel like acting, for some roles, you really have to dig deep. Sometimes you have to go to a place where you really don't care to go, to bring out certain emotions like anger or fear or sadness. But makeup is also very challenging too. But what I like about makeup is, you can improvise, say somebody forgets to bring, a certain prosthetic or, like a color or something to set. Like there's always ways to improvise that. And I mean, you can with acting too, but you have to improvise it the right way to where you're still conveying, the emotions, the character that you want to portray.
Tell us about the audition process. Like, what's your ideal audition? What feels most comfortable for you? And have you had bad experiences where it was just really challenging?
So as far as the way that I do auditions, I'm very like literal with them. I have my little setup where I have, my plain, like background and everything. But if there are props in the sides that are sent to me, then I will use a prop. I try to make or recreate the scene as best as I can. I'll research, into the character a bit, find out, like kind of like what she would be wearing, how she would be acting. If there is like a drink or something in the scene, what kind of drink would it be? Is she like high strung, or, like is she a health nut, like, likes to drink water, stuff like that. Like I'm very literal with them. And as far as, me being able to do that, I feel like it's working. Yeah, and nobody ever really showed me how to do the right thing. I just started doing what I felt was right.
And plus, you came along when the whole landscape changed. Like everything was all about in-person auditions before, and now it's all about the self-tapes and Zoom auditions. So the whole landscape has changed. So you came in just the right time.
Yeah, something I do find a little challenging. I did have a Zoom audition like a few weeks ago, and that was different because with like a self tape, you have, like you can practice, you can do it over and over again and watch yourself. But with Zoom, like you actually have someone there like watching you, and it's a little intimidating.
How much have you been involved? I noticed you were involved in some crowdfunding campaigns. Like, what is your involvement in some of those campaigns?
So I have like 8x10s and stuff that I'll donate to campaigns if people end up wanting to buy those. I've never done. I know that people bring up like the pay to act thing a lot. I've actually never paid to do a role. I kind of I want to be an actress. I don't want to have to pay to get there. I want to do the work. I want to put it in. And so like with crowdfunding, as far as, what I do, I just really donate 8x10s. I'll do shout out videos as well. Yeah.
Do you see a lot of difference in the process of a crowdfunding campaign and then one with standard funding?
That's a good question. Yeah, sometimes. Well, right now I feel like there's a lot of kind of drama going on in the industry. And with like crowdfunding campaigns, it's hard to, if their project falls through, it's hard to like, get those perks and stuff that, people have paid for. I have found that the projects that I've worked on that were self-funded didn't really, have any like problems. I didn't have any issues like getting paid or anything. Sometimes with crowdfunding, it'll take a bit longer, to get paid and but I mean, I haven't really of a difference, honestly.
What's the biggest challenge you've ever had on set as a makeup artist?
Oh, definitely a decapitated head. And it was my own.
Oh,
So that was, I mean, seeing my severed head floating around in a bathtub was a little like, whoa. But yeah, that was fun. I actually had a couple other makeup artists, Jeff May and Brandon Wagner, help me with that, because my house is really small and I don't really have the space to be able to do that. But basically, they made a life cast of my head, and then I was able to take it home and paint it, make it look like me, put a wig on it. And then in the in the scene that we were shooting, myself and Sean Wright, who's the director of Night of the Axe, he had like a tire pump thing for like blood spray and stuff. So the scene, I'm getting decapitated and in a tub, and so we had to basically have my other head on my shoulder and like film it like falling off and then just floating in the tub. But the blood spray was really hard to get right. I had to kind of become like Dexter, like a blood splatter analyzer for that. So that was pretty challenging. And then again, like the psychological aspect of seeing your own head floating in a tub was pretty trippy.
that must have been
You actually helped to design the head, your own head?
Yeah.
Oh man, that must have been such a bizarre experience.
It must have been so surreal looking at your own face and putting makeup on it. That's creepy.
Yeah. What's funny too is that there were actually pieces of like my eyebrow hair and my eyelashes in it from the life cast, and then pulling it off, it pulled out some of my hairs.
Oh man.
So yeah, no, that was really fun though.
So I've noticed you've done some horror events where you go to represent a film that you're in. Tell us about that experience, going to a convention and actually being behind the booth.
Okay, so I will tell you about my experiences going to a convention competing first, because that's actually how I got noticed. The first competition that I went to was at Fear Fest in 2018, I believe. And they gave us an hour to do a makeup. And then the second one that I went to, we were also given an hour, but they provided us with materials. So for the first one I did, we were able to create our own concept beforehand, gather our own materials, kind of set things up. And that one was really fun. I didn't know what to expect, so I wasn't as prepared as I could have been, but I felt I still made a really cool concept. The second event that I did makeup for was stressful because I had no idea what was going to be in the box, and I literally had to create this concept on the fly. But I came in second place, so I did really well with that. So on the other side of that, going to a con as a guest was really fun. The first one that I went to as a guest was in Texas with Lydia Manson. And it's just different, being able to, like promote yourself. Like people are coming up and being like, oh, who are you? Like, what are you in? What are you doing? And it's like, oh, I'm just Angel. Like, um, uh, you know, but I have to give credit to David Howard Thornton, who plays Art the Clown. At Mad Monster Expo, I was his volunteer handler, and he interacted with his fans, like awesome. Little kids would come up and, he would take pictures with them, and sometimes he would give them, free autographs if the situation, was right and stuff. And like, he's just super cool. So I really learned from him how to interact, with people and not get too like frazzled if there were a lot of people around the table, just, it was really fun. And then Lydia, of course, she's been to multiple cons. So like, we work together, to promote The House That Eats Flesh. And it's just a good time. I really enjoy, telling people about like horror and like my involvement in it. It's really neat. And there's a huge, I didn't realize how many people actually are into horror. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
It's just kind of like in a realm of its own. Yeah.
Okay. So what is your role in The House That Eats Flesh? What's your involvement with this?
So I did makeup and acted in it. I helped Ariel Stafford with makeup for it. Honestly, like so far, that's been the set that I've been on the longest at like one time. And it was an experience. Everybody, worked very hard to get things done. There were long nights and early mornings and lots of blood, lots and lots and lots of blood. My character's name is Amber in that film, and basically, this group of friends goes and visits a house kind of for like Thanksgiving break. We haven't seen each other in forever. And stuff starts to go down. I'm actually very, very excited for people to see like the big kill scene in that. Like it's going to be so freaking awesome.
Yeah, and one of the stars is Lisa Wilcox from Nightmare on Elm Street 4. So that's awesome.
I got to do makeup on her as well, and that was kind of surreal. I think besides David Howard Thornton, she's been the closest, at least in proximity, to like as a celebrity that I've been close to. But I actually got to do work for her, and she's an absolute doll. She was very patient, with Ariel and myself while we were doing makeup on her. And seeing her act in person is absolutely incredible. Like she puts her all into it. And yeah, it's an experience watching her.
Yeah, I bet. So I'm just going to say real quick. So with that film, you had a starring role, you did the makeup, hair, and special effects. So how do you balance all that on set?
Honestly, like I like to multitask, you know what I'm saying? So anytime I'm not busy, like I was, working on makeup. Anytime I wasn't acting, I was busy, trying to figure out the next effect. And again, why I like working with other makeup artists while I was acting, she was able to do the makeup as well. So it's nice to have help.
You just asked my question, Michael.
Oh, I'm sorry. So in general, how has the movie business treated you so far? Have you had any bad experiences or any where you got so stressed that you just wanted to quit?
No, sometimes the travel can be a little hectic, and I'm scared I won't get there on time, or when I'm leaving, I'm scared I won't get home on time. Um, I haven't really had any like bad experiences. I have had some tense some tense moments. There was filming for Go Straight to Hell. Um, that was by Rachel Hoffman. And there was a scene that I had to do um, that was that was rough. And me and the other actor, we had to kind of coordinate like a fight scene, and then like a rape scene. So that was a little nerve wracking. I don't have any like personal like fighting experience or anything. So uh but that's really like the most tense tense filled like experience that I've had on set.
That's good to hear, actually.
That
Yeah.
sounds pretty intense to have to. Is it jarring to have to do something like this? Because I imagine, I mean, the impression I get is that you have a lot of fun on set doing what you're doing, but when you have to go to some place that dark, does I wouldn't say it does it take not take the fun out of it, but does it darken things a little bit, or does it make it a little bit harder to work?
Yeah, it can. And especially, if there are other people on set, in that scene, like during that scene, Lydia was on the floor and she was supposed to be dead, but she was crying, on the floor because the way that like my screams and stuff were sounding were insane. So it not only affects me, but it affected other people as well. So it can definitely um, not really dampen the mood, but it can definitely make it dark, um, at least until the scene is done filming.
I could definitely see that.
So what would you say is your most rewarding filmmaking experience so far, whether it be, acting or working on set or makeup?
Most rewarding, I would have to say, so far, I would have to say the house that eats flesh, and technically it's not even done filming yet. I know Josh Graves just went to Arizona to finish filming for that. Um, but that was such a like a huge load of special effects work and blood, and I learned so much on that set. Um, Ariel Stafford is amazing. She's the best artist that I've worked with so far. And I definitely, hope to work with her again. But she did. She taught me a lot as far as like blood, like making and some blood splatter work, little tips and trips, tips and tricks to make things a little easier on set, especially if I'm doing both makeup and acting. Um, that really is where it's at for me.
Cool.
So I hear you're working on a film about Ed Gein. Is that true?
Yeah. Yes. Okay.
What is
So
that?
Robert Rippeth Jr. He's had to put it off for a little while, but I'm actually supposed to be playing multiple roles in that, and I'm actually going to be creating my own prosthetics for that. I'll be playing an older woman, and I'll be playing a younger woman. So I'm excited for that because normally I always play, kind of the girl next door kind of type, and and that's why I love acting, because now as an old lady, I get to play an old lady, like cool. Like, you
Okay.
What can we
um, hmm.
what can we expect to see the movie, or when do you think that's going to get a release?
Oh man, I have no idea. We haven't even started filming for that yet. I'm hoping by the end of the year we'll start filming on it, and I'm hoping hope by the summer of next year, hopefully we'll have something out for you guys.
Cool. So I wanted to ask you about some of your upcoming projects, and if there's no details you can give about it, then we'll just go on to the next one. Go Straight to Hell. You mentioned that you're working on that one with Diana Prince, who's Darcy, the male girl
Yeah,
from Joe Bob, and also Courtney Palm from Zombievers.
yeah.
Any information on that of when it's coming up, or?
I have no information
Okay.
on that, unfortunately. Um, yeah, I don't. There's some discrepancies and stuff with the directors on the film, and so
Uh,
I have no idea.
so how about Slumber Party, Slaughter Party 2? It has Lloyd
Yeah,
Kaufman from Troma in it, Brink Stevens, Debbie Rochon.
yes. So I actually have been able to watch a few clips. Dwayne has been posting some of the clips uh, from that onto YouTube and stuff, and I've been watching them. And the most recent one he posted, and I didn't even, and this really stinks because I really wish I would have been able to talk to Lloyd himself. But there's a scene in there where I'm on the phone talking to my dad, and Lloyd is supposed to be my dad, but Dwayne just cut the conversation in. I didn't actually get to talk to him.
Uh,
um, but he just got done having his heart surgery. Unfortunately, his mom just passed away very recently as well.
oh.
So I'm not exactly sure about the time frame for that one either, but I'm pretty sure by the end of the year that should be out.
Okay, then we have Wolf Hollow with Felissa Rose and Hannah Fierman from VHS.
Yeah. So I'll be playing in the opening scene of that. Filming for that in the first or second weekend of June. I won't be there, too long. But I do know Mark Cantu is very professional and gets his stuff knocked out and ready for people to view. He also did a Massacre Academy, I believe.
Okay.
So yeah, he. Um, I hate that I don't have any confirmed timelines for you guys. I'm so sorry.
It's just fascinating that you have all these projects coming up, and even hearing about them being in various stages, and even being uncertain about it's all fascinating to me.
Yeah.
Especially these three projects here. You're doing Crystal Lake, Elm Street, and Haddonfield All Hallows Eve. So it's a Friday the 13th fan film, a Nightmare on Elm Street one, and a Halloween tribute film. So what are some of the contrasts in working in projects like this? And are you a Freddy, Michael, or Jason girl?
So all three of those are being done by Stephen Bastian. I'm hoping those will be done sometime over the summer. That's another thing with indie projects. It's very hard to get everybody together for filming. Scheduling is a complete nightmare.
Yeah.
And especially with my schedule becoming, super booked up, it's hard for me to, to nail down times where I can do things. The we had started filming the Friday the 13th one. I think they're getting close to finishing that. I was just doing makeup on that one. I am supposed to be acting in the Elm Street one, and also the Haddonfield. But my favorite slasher out of those three is Freddy.
Yes.
He has personality, and I always enjoyed watching his, the Freddy movies a little more than the Halloween or Friday on Friday 13th films, because I mean, you really just kind of get the same thing with, Michael and Jason. They're just quiet and they somehow walk really fast and kill you. But Freddy, he can get you in your dreams. He can get you in real life, and he talks to you. Like he's not afraid to say what he has to say.
You have a favorite Nightmare on Elm Street movie?
Ooh, I really like the second one. The second one's really good. Mark Patton, I actually got to meet him at Mad Monster, and he's just the sweetest. He's so sweet. But yeah, I would have to say right now, I'd probably say the second one, and then the fourth one, of course, because of Lisa Wilcox.
Okay. Nice. So how about your film Hollywood Werewolf? It's with the great James Balsamo. We met him a few years back. And also Andy Dick is in it. So what's going on with that one?
So I filmed my parts for that last year. I actually was in I basically had to just film a scene where like Andy, or the character that he's portraying, is like watching like videos of these like girls that he is potentially like interested in, and I come up and I'm in a bathtub and I'm pouring milk all over myself, milkshake. Yeah, so I definitely had fun filming that, and I'm pretty sure that's out.
Oh, it is? Okay.
I don't know. I know he's definitely done filming it for sure. But yeah, my part in that was very small and remote filming. But it was fun to film, milk in a bathtub.
Yeah, that guy is prolific, James Balsamo, and he's one personality. That's for sure.
Yeah, it'd be nice to meet him in person one day. I think that'd be awesome.
And I see that you're also playing a stripper in Greed and Loyalty.
Yeah, that's by Dwayne Etheridge as well. I'm not sure when he'll be filming that, but my day job, I actually do work at a gentleman's club, so I could being a stripper really, it is what it is.
So how about this one? Debbie Does Demons. What's going on with that one?
Oh man, I'm very excited for that one. I actually start filming for that on May 14th with Bobby Knipe Jr. And yeah, there's gonna be tons of blood and boobs, of course. You can't go wrong with blood and boobs. But this will be my second project with Jessa. She was also with me in Slumber Party, Slaughter Party 2. And her and I just get along fantastically. I get to carry a really... Oh, well, no, I think that changed. I think that storyline changed a little bit. But anyway, I basically am a ghost show host, and I'm just, having these interactions with all sorts of demons and like witches and crazy creatures.
That sounds awesome.
What about this movie Mothman, where you're the lead?
Mothman. I'm not the lead in Mothman.
Oh, you're not? Oh, okay,
No.
you were listed as the top build here.
Oh, wow. That's very nice. I'll be going to Ohio for one day in May, filming. My part is Aubrey, and I'm just basically being interviewed by somebody like on film. So it's not really a big part, but I think it's important. I say a few lines and I answer a couple questions, and yeah. But without that role being in there, you know, like there would kind of be a little bit of missing information. So,
Okay.
So how about the two films you mentioned with James B. Thomason, Backwoods Bubba and Martian Massacre?
yeah, so both of those movies are out. Um, uh, Martian Massacre was fun. I got to do a little, you know, research on aliens
Cool.
because I was obsessed with aliens. My character was obsessed with aliens. And being able to act with Crystal Cleveland, she's super awesome to be around, and she's a great actress as well. Um, I consider myself to be super empathetic, so I can, you know, uh, I'll act kind of based off of other people's, you know, energy, and hers is just great. You know, I felt comfortable around her. It was awesome. And then for Back, that's where I met Mark DeValenti, Rebecca Reinhart, and oh no, I'm having a brain fart. Oh no. Julie Prescott. There we go. And I actually had a kind of like, you know, a little one-on-one talk with Julie, and you know, kind of just like a heart to heart, and she's very caring, you know, gave great advice. And then I got to, you know, crush her head in a bear trap. So yeah, both of those experiences were good. Unfortunately, I don't really talk to Brad much anymore. I don't know if it's because I've kind of, you know, not really skyrocketed, but I've just gotten more popular, you know, in the industry. So I'm not sure if he feels like we can't really talk. But I always like to tell people, I mean, as much as I like to get paid for projects, local projects, I really don't mind, you know, like volunteering for, or, you know, just going and acting, you know, for like a day or two, or doing makeup for like a day or two. It's not all about the money for me. I mean, money's great, of course, but I'm really passionate about what I do.
Okay. You're involved in a lot. So one movie I had to ask you about is Terror Toons 4. Doesn't seem that you're in it. It's directed by Joe Castro, but he is giving you a special thanks for that movie. Is there any particular reason?
No, I don't know. But I have met Joe, and he's awesome.
Okay.
He's kind of a makeup idol as well. You know, Tom Savini's up there for me, and, you know, Stan Winston, and but Joe, you know, he has been a makeup artist forever, you know, ever since he was like in his teens. You know, so being able to meet him in person was pretty surreal too, and he gave me a hug and everything, and I was like, oh my god, this is happening. Yeah, I honestly don't know where that credit came from, but I'm happy I have it.
Yeah, we interviewed Joe a few months ago. He's one of our best interviews. That guy's full of information, full of stories from all his sets over the years. Really cool guy.
Yeah, I can imagine. He's been in the industry for a very, very, very long time.
We're actually in talks with him about being on our next project, so stay tuned for that. We're hoping to work with him, and we're hoping to work with you very soon too.
I very much look forward to that.
So is there any advice you would have for up-and-coming actors and filmmakers?
Yes. Don't get involved with drama. Number one, do your research, you know, ask around for recommendations about directors if you're not sure. You know, if you're working with someone for the first time, ask other people that they've worked with what it's like to work with them. You definitely don't want to be in a bad position. You know what I'm saying? I've heard horror stories, you know, about people, you know, being like flown out to set and not knowing that like the nature of the role had changed, and then they want to leave and they're not able to leave. Like they have to pay for their own ticket back because the director is just being, whatever. Definitely do your research on directors. As a makeup artist, don't be afraid to try new things. Obviously within reason, be safe. I was actually just watching something about the Wizard of Oz and how they were painting the Tin Man with aluminum. I'm like, come on, like common sense. But obviously back in the 30s, they didn't really have many options. But now that we do in this day and age, there's all sorts of safe ways to improvise and create. Don't limitate yourself. As an actor or an actress, don't limitate yourself to just one thing. Like I said, I'm used to playing the girl next door, but I would love to play like a monster. I would love to play something that I can't even recognize. You know what I'm saying? I would love to play a serious role. I would love to do, an action heavy role where, I can do a lot of my own stunts. So do you limit yourself and just be you?
Some excellent advice, and listen to Angel, because she's had a surge of success with all these projects coming up, and pretty much every actor, especially female actor I've talked to, has had some kind of nightmare in their career coming up. So it's good that you're taking the right precautions, and that's great advice that you give to other actors.
Thank you.
I have to thank you. I was listening to your podcast. Listen to her podcast, everybody. It's Killer Queens, Podcast of Screams. But when I was listening to your podcast, you played a song by Skynd, Skynd. It's called Catherine Knight. It's a band where each of their songs is about a different serial killer. And I'm so fascinated by that band now, and I'm showing them to everybody that comes over. So thank you for introducing me to them.
Oh, absolutely. I came across them a couple years ago with their song that has Jonathan Davies in it, Gary Heidnick. That was the first one I ever listened to. And just the way her voice is, and then she has Father, in the background being like her ominous, like shadow. And it's just, she's amazing. Her real name is Marina Ortega, and I'm pretty sure she's from Russia or somewhere like that. But actually they were supposed to be coming to North Carolina for a music festival the year that COVID hit, and I was so disappointed. Their name literally was the last name on the bill, and they were who I wanted to see the most, and then COVID hit, and I was like, I definitely screamed. But yeah, no, the Skynd is amazing. You're very welcome.
So we'll put a link to your podcast and everything that you're up to in the description of our episode.
Cool.
Yeah, and keep us updated.
I really appreciate it.
Keep us updated on your projects, and we'll shout them out on the podcast and put them on our page and stuff.
Cool. Yeah, and hopefully, like within the next year or so, I'll have some different projects and different experiences to share with you guys if y'all happen to have me back on.
Cool.
We will at some point.
Awesome.
Before we go, are there any actors in the horror genre or actresses that inspire you?
Oh gosh, yeah, Dee Wallace is the one. I love Dee. I've seen almost everything that she's been in, but my main movie that I remember her from is Cujo. She did great in that.
Yes.
Man, who else? Oh, Michael Berryman. Okay. I really love his acting in the original, The Hills Have Eyes, and when you see him in Rob Zombie's movies.
Yeah.
So he can do anything, from like really scary to, kind of fucked up funny, Pardon my language. Again, David Howard Thornton. His performance is Art the Clown. He doesn't say a word in the movie. It's all body language and facial expressions. And to me, that's really impressive because normally, your voice is how you portray emotions, but he literally just does it all from his body and just facial expressions, and that's super inspiring to me.
Yeah, and especially him being as animated as he is, to see him shine in a mute part is awesome.
Right? Yeah, like just so cool. I mean, there's so many, and I mean, like Tom Savini, like he's my idol as a makeup artist, and I'm actually really hoping to meet him at Fear Fest. He's going to be at Fear Fest at the end of May, and like I feel like I could just sit there for hours and just pick his brain.
I keep up with Angel Bradford. What's the name of your podcast again?
Killer Queens Podcast of Screams. Yeah.
And how can we? So you have a social media where we can keep up with you, or?
So I have Instagram. I have TikTok and Facebook. My Instagram and TikTok, it's Angel Nicole NICHOLE .B. And also, as far as my podcast goes, if you look on Spotify and iTunes, we're listed under Rabbit and Red Radio Network.
Well, we'd like to thank you so much for coming on. It's been great talking to you today.
Yeah, thank you for having me again. I love to talk and share whatever I can, to help others and to help myself too.
Yeah, it's exciting just following your career. So I'm sure you're having a great time.
Thank you so much. I am. I do. I feel very lucky, and I'm not taking any of it for granted. And like I said, always do your research. Make sure that whatever you're doing, you'll be safe. Bye.